Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular City Commission meeting of February 4th. I'll call the meeting to order and ask all of you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Commissioner Jenks.
Present.
Commissioner Elder.
Present.
Commissioner Roselle and Commissioner Olsman are both excused. Mayor Paul present. Approval of the agenda. We have one change to the agenda. Item number 4 is going to be postponed until the next meeting. We have a motion to approve as amended.
I motion to approve the
Second.
agenda as amended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the consent agenda. We have a motion.
I will motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our elected officials remarks. We have our county commissioner back with us this evening.
Thank you. So good evening, everybody. I was actually just trying to intervene on Catalpa Oaks and soccer fields, which is an interesting challenge. We have this wonderful soccer group, and getting space for practice and games is always a challenge. And 2 of our fields at Catalpa Oaks Park are still being worked on. They have to grow their new grass, so 2 fields are not available for all of the leagues. So we're trying to negotiate space and work on that. In any case, Oakland County is being responsive to the potential fear of the coronavirus, and there is information posted. So far, we're not in any type of immediate danger around here. But just people should be aware of the facts, and you can go on to the Oakland County website, www.oakgov.com. We also have, this year we are doing celebration of women's right to vote. It's 100 years this year, and we've had a variety of different initiatives, one of which has been we had a voting label, and then we have some speakers coming on Tuesday, February 11th. We have Michelle Duster, who's the granddaughter of Ida B. Wells, who's a prominent African-American journalist, abolitionist, and feminist during the 19th and 20th centuries. Will be speaking at OCC on Tuesday morning, 10:30 a.m., OCC in Royal Oak. And then she will also be at Oakland University on Monday, February 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the Oakland Center. And it's supposed to be a very engaging, interesting talk. We also are having Oakland County Bicentennial this year. It's 200 years. And one of the things that lots of different events, but we are purchasing 20,000 oak trees that are going to be distributed throughout the county, and there will be some coming to Huntington Woods. We'll always take free trees. So, and I think it's a really wonderful thing that we're doing. There's also another contest going on, a poetry and PSA contest with the opportunity for students to win up to $2,000 in cash scholarships from the Cornerstone Community Financial Credit Union. And there's information about this contest on the Oakland County website, www.oakgov.com, under Board of Commissioners. And that's it for this evening.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Like usual.
What?
Like usual, a question.
Sure.
Is the county doing anything to celebrate Black History Month?
Well, this part of this speaker is a combination in February for Black History Month and also Women's Book. And, you know, we did a resolution, and I'm going to do an invocation talking about that topic.
Okay.
The State of the County speech is on February 12th, and with our newer county exec, and he's going to be talking about a wonderful new health initiative and many other things. And there's a lot of work being done on transit and housing issues and so forth, and more to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Now is the opportunity for public participation. If the public has anything that is not on the agenda. Seeing none, public participation is closed. Now I get to do one of my favorite things to do as mayor, and I'm going to come out front to do a proclamation. And if I could ask the young lady in the purple to come up here and help me out with this.
Sorry, I'm slow.
That's all right.
I'm fine.
We have a proclamation tonight of the City of Huntington Woods recognizing Sally Kohlenberg. Whereas Sally has been a resident of Huntington Woods for more than 50 years. Whereas Sally married Marty Kohlenberg. Kohlenberg, I'm sorry, August 8, 1958. And whereas Sally is the proud mother to Larry and Julia and grandmother to Jared, Lisa, Liza, and Gemma. And whereas Sally graduated from Mumford High School in 1955 and earned a bachelor degree in English from Wayne State University in 1959. And whereas Sally has worked for the City of Huntington Woods Library since February of 1980. And whereas Sally started as a circulation clerk and is now head of circulation, enduring 4 circulation system changes over her 40 years of service. And whereas Sally was selected as the Employee of the Year in 2006, and whereas Sally is very reliable, active employee that enjoys the color purple and will happily tell you she knows where all the Huntington Woods Library bones are buried. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Huntington Woods City Commission congratulates Sally on her 40 years of service to the City of Huntington Woods Library. Proclaimed this regular City Commission meeting of February 4th, 2020, and signed by the mayor.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
I'm a little surprised to say the least. So, yeah, I always think I was a child when I started it. So, but anyway, thank you all. This is just lovely, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And no, Jeff, I'm not retiring.
Don't even think about it.
So, thanks again.
As your former paper boy,
Yes.
I would like to congratulate you and Janet as well.
My sister.
All right. Moving on to the regular items of business.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, our first item of business is a matter of consideration, the approval of Commissioner overnight travel request. This is for Commissioner Jenks and Mayor Pro Tem Roselle to attend the MML Capital Conference in Lansing. You have a motion to approve?
I will motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Comments or questions?
I have a comment. I just had some questions initially to why we're sending 2 commissioners, but I found the answers, and that's because this is great training for our commissioners, and there are multiple sessions at this conference. So I'm just really commenting to share the information that I learned, and it really is an opportunity for our city leaders to go out to this conference and bring back benchmarks, information, best practices, and glad that Commissioners Roselle and Jenks are able to attend, so I very fully support.
Okay. All those in favor?
Can I make a comment?
You can.
And I have it in writing, so Heidi, I can give it to you afterwards. I've got it in writing, my comments. Today I filled out my first request for approval to attend an overnight conference in Michigan since I was elected to the public office in November 1999, and filled out an estimated expense report required as of October 2019. This is the first time that I've had to go through this process in the past 20 years. Although the commission passed this change in October 2019, I'd like to know what was the reason to require this detailed estimate of small expenses, and why does it require a 1-month delay for approval? 1-month delay can make hotel space impossible to get, and the pricing increases for registration, at least with the Michigan Municipal League. Did our new auditors find a discrepancy in expense reports by city commissioners in the 0.3% of the city's budget spent by the city commission? Was there a massive savings to be obtained in the budget for the commission by instituting this new practice? Are all other employees in the city required to go through this process and file these requests, or is it just applied to the mayor and the 4 commissioners who want to attend overnight and state meetings? For the 20 years that I've served on the commission until last October, we have been allowed to attend in-state meetings without prior approval. Out-state meetings have required commission approval. There never was pre-approval of anticipated expenses, but there were daily limits to the amount that could be spent and exclusions from what you could spend money on. My estimated expenditure for the 2-day MML Capital Conference, March 24, March 25, is less than $200. The actual registration for the conference costs $250 if done now, and if delayed past March 4th, the cost will jump to $325. But because I'm a past president of MML, I'm not charged to attend the spring or summer conferences. This has saved the city over $3,000. Sometimes there is an MML Foundation event, but I believe that should come from my pocket and not the city, so I do pay that charge. I've also paid any charge made for my wife or reimbursed the city for her expenses paid to MML. I'd like to use the city card to attend Michigan Municipal League conferences and meetings. If no one else is going as far as Lansing, or if it isn't needed by groups for an event. I note that we are only averaging 6,000 miles annually for use of the city card, which is an inefficient use of an asset. I also note the city does not recognize the IRS mileage allowance of 58 cents a mile, but instead assumes a car gets 20 miles to the gallon and then pays for the average cost of gas, which now means the city reimburses about 11 cents a mile for travel to meetings and conferences. This creates a serious incentive to use the city card because the city pays less than 20% of the federal government's estimate to drive a car 1 mile. Or it creates for elected officials a disincentive to attend meetings and learn if the meeting is not nearby. Although the Fair Labor Standards Act definitely says that elected officials are not city employees, the Internal Revenue Services recognizes that elected officials are employees. The courts generally define public official and public officer to meet anyone who exercises significant authority pursuant to public laws. The test seems to be the office performs its duties independently and without control of a superior power other than the law. The office has some permanency and continuity, and the officer takes an official oath. I also believe the reason we are paid $1 rather than nothing is to establish that employee relationship. Please recognize this IRS definition. I'm requesting that I be allowed to use the city car to attend the MML conference in Lansing as a city employee. I would suggest that you include the city commissioners and the mayor pro tem in the ability to use the city car, although my colleagues for the most part don't attend MML or SEMCOG on a regular basis. By using the city car, it costs me less, and the city is following its own suggestion, gas only, and the city is making use of an expensive asset that often sits idle. Has the City Managers Association suggested this change to exclude elected officials, and can we get a copy of the written suggestion that elected officials not be allowed to use city vehicles that are made available for staff use? For 20 years, there was no problem with me using the car, except when someone was going further or had a group to move. I hope this action is not personal and against me. I'd like to suggest when the meeting days are more than one day, when the estimated expense will be less than $1,000, and when the event will be in-state, that the city manager be given the authority to authorize this attendance in-state. I've rarely over the past 20 years submitted mileage reimbursement requests when attending local SEMCOG monthly meetings, but have used the city car on a regular basis to attend SEMCOG and MML meetings. I feel I'm being targeted to reduce my learning and education and don't know why. These series of changes have primarily affected me since I'm the only one elected to the SEMCOG Executive Committee and only one attending MML trustee meetings. Most cities are proud when they have an elected member who is a past president and honorary life member of our statewide professional association, the Michigan Municipal League, or a past chair of the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. These are elected positions, not appointed. I've attached a copy of my estimate of expenses for attending the CAPCON convention in Lansing, March 24, 25. I estimate expenses of less than $200. For others attending, if registered now, their cost would be $250 for the registration alone. If registered in March, the price jumps to $325. And my breakdown is hotel at the Kellogg Conference Center, $165.85. Parking estimated at $7 a day, $14. That could be as high as $11 a day. All meals are covered. Registration, there is no charge to the city, saving the city $325. Estimated miles, 160 to 180 at 11 cents a mile. That's a reimbursement of $20 or less. That total would be $199.85. I just think this is bizarre unless it's something that's recommended nationally. I understand under Fair Labor Standards Act, we're not employees clear, but under IRS, the test is met, and at least from some of the other cities that I've checked with, they don't go through this process. I believe when we go out state that the prices can accelerate, and that's a different issue. The other comment I'd like to make is Michelle historically would have 3 to 4 people going to conferences, and the reason behind that is it's not a straight lecture. There's a whole bunch of different presentations, and usually what happens, the mayor, at least the previous mayor, always attended, and he would say, you know, which session do you want to go to? And we even had some of our wives taking notes, although the city has never and should never pay for any of their expenses. Well, I mean,
I hope you were taking notes too.
yeah, I take notes.
Okay. Not just the wives, I mean.
No,
And just so you know, I support you in this conference. I think a part of the questions that we had as a new person looking at these, you know, when I have a training request, I go through a approval process. And I think one of the things that I would like to do is provide training, more training for our employees at the city, so that we can have better customer service, you know, standardize, and so that we're giving them the tools to do the best jobs that they can. So my question initially was, why do we have 2 people going? And it was a very simple explained answer. So I fully support this conference. I think your comment about the city vehicle, I think there was some conflicts in the past with a city employee needing to use it, and I think there was a request from a commissioner to use it, and so I think that's where we said, well, that makes no sense. The priority should be for city services, because this is a city vehicle, and it's there so that our employees can use it to serve the public. And so I think that was the reasoning behind it, and I'm sorry.
There was one complaint, or there were 20 complaints?
This was
There was
before my
one
time.
complaint in 20 years?
But-
Not really.
It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
but I mean,
Well, and I guess, I don't know, but doesn't this possibly implicate the insurance? I mean, are the commissioners insured to drive a city vehicle?
according to Jules.
Yes, I think so. Volunteers would be, if they're doing work on behalf of the city or acting in their capacity.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong. I think we should have an approval process for all trainings. This is public dollars that we're spending. And yes, there's absolutely a ton of value for all of us to get trained and, you know, stay on top of these issues. But I believe that a approval process is valid and should be instituted. I can't speak to the time before I was here, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a great training. I'm glad that you're going. In terms of the city vehicle, I think you brought up a good question, and it might need to be further discussed.
Well, assuming that obviously liability is covered, and supposedly, according to Jules, it is. But
Well, Jules isn't
He
here,
doesn't know
so.
that. He doesn't know the
Then
MMRMA coverage.
can we get a statement from MMR whether they cover us or not? Since according to IRS, we are employees, the
Well,
Internal Revenue Service.
But your insurance company doesn't care how the IRS defines an employee, so the insurance policy will define it. But certainly Amy can contact them and get verification on that. It just ran across my mind that it might not be something that they're covered for to use a vehicle.
I mean, because of my high salary, I would like to reduce my expenses. You know, but the salary of $1 a year. Now, if there's something bizarre in the way of a conference that's going to cost us a lot of money, I would think that the city manager would need to intervene on behalf of the city, because that would be ridiculous. But it's like I went to the summer MML conference. I don't remember, did I submit mileage?
I don't recall offhand.
Okay, I believe I did submit expenses of about $25 or $45 for 2 parking, and that was it. I am not charged for registration, so compared to the city manager, I expect my expenses lower. I do believe, and if you were to ask Tony or even asked during budget discussions, when I've seen these tiny little amounts for training, I have complained that they're too small. We're capped for the money that we can get. We're basically flatlined, and with healthcare going up, we're actually losing less for employees. If, this new millage passes, it will be helpful. But, let's look at, we have a budget, the total budget for our commission is 0.3% of the total city's budget.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is
All I'm
good.
saying is that
And if this, I'm sorry for interrupting, but if this millage passes, that money should not be used for our training. That money should go toward infrastructure,
I have no
which we had a
I have-
very
I have-
transparent discussion about with the public last night.
I have,
I think we're off track here. I think there's a motion to approve your request to travel.
but
And
I
I think
also
you've made your
have
comment.
presented comments.
Yes, you presented comments. I think the commission has adopted a policy. That policy's still in place. There's a motion to approve for you to attend tonight, and I think
I
probably we
have
should
no
act on
right
it.
to question.
No, you can say whatever you want, but I think that we're getting off track from what the request is on the agenda,
The request on the agenda gave.
is to authorize you to
the-
go.
I think it gave the entire, it made an attachment here.
No, it's to approve the overnight travel request for
request.
Commissioners
Okay.
Jeff,
But
James,
And
it
there's a
and
motion to
Roselle.
approve it.
Okay, but it also then on the next page, well,
For reference with the policy.
what I did was raised a question about certain aspects of the policy. The 1 month delay is scary to me when you have there's got to be some, going to MML,
okay.
the hotel was filled
I think
within 10
We
days.
understand your comments, we've got them, thank you for that. I'm just gonna add before I call for the vote that the policy was put in place. It's a good policy to have. The meetings at the MML and the NLC the dates are posted a year in advance in most cases.
The
So,
opening for the registration
Thank you, Commissioner.
was like January 6th.
Okay, I think you proved the point here. We have plenty of time to get it registered before the
Within
price
2
increase.
weeks, the hotel space had disappeared. I was not allowed to use the hotel space. It was filled.
You can reserve a hotel and cancel it usually.
Okay,
within-
we have a
2 days.
motion on the table to approve the travel request. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is a matter of consideration of the approval of the municipal user fee study for the city of Huntington Woods with Municipal Analytics of Ann Arbor in an amount not to exceed $18,050. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment?
While I think it's, Claire, go ahead, LaSalle. While I think it's really important for us to take a look at what other cities are doing, I do not understand why this can't be done in-house. What they're going to do is exactly what staff people can do, and we do have staff that can do it. They're going to sit down and look at websites.
Okay.
We tend to spend money all over the place, and things that could be done in-house.
Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner comments or questions?
I had a question, and it was, I think, unfortunately, we only had one proposal response, so not others to compare to. However, I do think that they are proposing some things that make a lot of sense. My question is more about how they're going to be looking at the departments to understand the costs, and wondering if there are opportunities for them to get feedback from the staff level at an anonymous method,
Yes. I'll
just
talk
to
them
find
about-
cost efficiencies and things like that.
I understand it. I'd be happy to have that conversation with them. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that way it's candid, there's no, fear of, not that there's any retaliation, but there's just, an open, honest, protected way of gaining information, because the people that are doing the day-to-day work will understand their jobs the best. So that was my question, and I think there's a lot in here, and this was, if I recall correctly, the recommendation from the long-range budget plan committee was to look at benchmarking in ways that we can find some cost savings in our operation.
Yeah, the idea was to make sure that the programs and activities are covered by the revenue that we bring in, covers the cost. So we need to be able to determine exactly what the cost is to provide the service, let's say the pool, for example, and then what, kind of backtrack what the rates need to be in order to cover those costs.
Right, and because of the problem right now of the fees that are being charged for services like Latchkey, the senior program, and Fruit Camp are not making itself whole. And so really looking at it, are we charging a fair amount?
Some of the activities are covering their costs. I can't remember right off the bat which ones were and some weren't, but we'll take a look at all of them.
Yeah, okay. No other questions?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is a matter of consideration of approving the waiver of underfunded pension status. Amy, do you want
Actually, I'm
to
going
write to Tim?
to refer to Tim.
So in 2017, the state passed Public Act 202, which was to address underfunded pensions in cities. And so made sure to submit an annual report that if you met these 2 triggers, you'd have to do a corrective action plan. The triggers are 60% funded or less, and 10% of, if your required contribution is 10% or more of your general revenues. In 2019, the state came out with uniform assumptions for pensions, and they dropped the investment to 7% return assumption, which in turn dropped our percentage to 57% funded on our pensions. So we have to submit this waiver to request a waiver of underfunded pension status, so we don't have to do a corrective action plan.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Support.
Any public comment? Commission have any questions?
Yes.
Comments?
Yeah. It's taken about 15 to 20 years for the actuarial folks to get rid of that 7%, which was absurd, I felt.
Yeah,
long
MERS still uses 7.75, so if you look in MERS, it says we're 61% funded, but when we put the state and uniform assumptions, it dropped us under that 60%.
I think it's more realistic. I did not have on my copy attachment 3 and attachment 6. Could I get that at some later time?
Nope, all good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is a matter of new appointments of residents to various boards, commissions, and committees. We have one appointment to consider this evening. That is a commission appointment of Corey Starr to the Ethics Committee.
So move.
Seconded.
Any public comment? Commission comments? Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is a motion to reconsider the appointment of Jason Gordon to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. We have a motion.
So move.
Seconded.
Any public comment? Any comments or questions from the commission? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is the second reading of A consideration on ordinance to amend the City of Huntington Woods, Chapter 40 zoning, Article 9, sustainable design and environmental standards. The stormwater management to add the new subparagraph D. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. Any more comments from public comments? Comments or questions from the commission?
I just hope we can create some process standards on this, separate from this.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8 is also a second reading of an ordinance to regulate the delivery of unsolicited written materials to any premise without express invitation or permission, and to provide penalties for the violation thereof. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
Any public comment? Commissioner comments or questions?
I have
All-
a comment real quick. I didn't realize how much this was an eyesore until this was on the agenda last month. And unfortunately, I was out of town during the last meeting. Ever since I was made aware of this problem, that is all I see across our city. And so I think this is a really good ordinance and will help keep our streets and sidewalks and driveways much neater and nicer, and is good for our residents.
And this does not apply to anything put on your porch, put on your door, etc. So it in no way prohibits candidates or political petitions from operating. It just says, again, the driveways, the sidewalks, the lawn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager's report.
I wanted to remind people that there is a used book sale this Saturday at the library. It is from 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And also the informational meeting on the police and fire pension millage was very well attended last night. It was videotaped, so we have it available on our YouTube channel to watch, which if you go to our homepage at the very top, there's social media icons. You can click on the YouTube icon and take a look at the meeting. And we also have PowerPoint presentations on the website that were shown as part of the informational meeting. And then when the e-newsletter goes out on Friday, there'll be direct links to each one of the PowerPoints and the rebroadcast as well. So I continue to get email questions. I would encourage everybody to reach out to me if you have any questions on the pension millage or the road strategy program, and be happy to provide answers so people can make an informed decision.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the City Manager? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn.
There's no support.
Oh.
Dies for lack of a second.
We'll just sit here
I
all night.
support.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Actually,
Meeting
this
adjourned.
other guy could